Morality tells the truth, and moralism lies. Getting evangelicals saved. Now, what are we to make of it when all the hot lava from the world of unregenerate hearts erupts into the sky, and a number of evangelicals start admiring it, or making excuses for it, or compromising with it? Like answers to like. This is happening because a vast swath of the evangelical world is unregenerate also. The reason why evangelicals can look at race riots and defend them as expressing frustration over the root causes of poverty is because they need to be born again. The reason why countless sermons across the nation are starting to go woke is because the men preaching them are dead in their sins. The reason why the atmosphere of many churches has reached such intolerable levels of humidity is because the controls for the AC are located in the middle of the women's ministry. In short, the unbelieving world needs the gospel for obvious reasons, but the believing world also needs the gospel because the believing world is shot through with unbelief. And, it seems to me, the believers should not be unbelievers. Within the church, what do we see with regard to the first chapters of Genesis? Unbelief. Within the church, what do we see when it comes to assigned role relationships between men and women? Unbelief. Within the church, what do we see when it comes to the authority of Christ in the public square? Unbelief. So then, what is our problem? Take heed, brethren, lest there be in any of you an evil heart of unbelief in departing from the living God. Hebrews 3:12. Gilbert Tennant once preached a famous sermon on the dangers of an unconverted ministry, a sermon he later regretted as too uncharitable. But in a time of great unfaithfulness and apostasy, as this generation most certainly is, perhaps the shoe might fit a little bit better now. Thick and thin. I mentioned earlier that there was a third option. There are those who have a very thick gospel, so long as we are only talking about the salvation of individual sinners, but it is also a very narrow gospel. It does not cover the world. It does not engage with the world. There are also those who have a very broad gospel, and they talk a good game about engaging with culture. But what they are really referring to is their deep emotional need, born of unbelief, to surrender to the prevailing culture. Evangelicals engaging with culture should look like something more than a dog lying on its back asking for a tummy rub. This is what it means to engage with culture, 2 Corinthians 10:4 and 5. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God, to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. Pulling down strongholds, casting down imaginations, throwing down every high thing that vaunts itself against the knowledge of God, taking every thought captive. When we look at the Pauline agenda, and then look at the behavior of evangelicals over the last 50 years, our foreheads ought to get hot. But the only way to engage with culture across the board like this, without compromising, is to connect absolutely everything to the fact that Jesus died for the salvation of the world, and that he rose again for the justification of the new mankind. Everything else is filler. It is filler destined for glory, but still filler.